Welcome once again to our few minutes together on the Parsha. You may be able to tell from the background that this is being recorded in Eretz Yisrael with the mountains of Yehuda in the background. We're in Gush Etzion and we're speaking from Elazar. I'd like to take this opportunity to give a hearty yashikorach to Yechiel Kleinman and to Judd Ozer for being so helpful in setting up the videos all these months. Today, of course, I'm being videoed by Chaim Snow, my son, who has a video studio here in Elazar. Our Parsha this week is Parshat Shoftim, and it has many very important mitzvos mentioned in the Sedra. There are two psukim, however, at the very beginning, or close to the beginning of the Sedra, which need a little bit of an explanation, and perhaps we'll try to do that today. The first one says, Lo sita lecha asherah kol eitz. One may not plant any type of Asherah tree, which we know as a tree that is worshipped by Avodah Zarah because it stays green all year long, and it's been colloquially translated as an evergreen tree. The evergreen tree was worshipped because it assumed that the idol worshippers assumed that this was, after all, the god of all the other trees, since it always stayed green. The Torah tells us we cannot plant an Asherah tree Eitzel mizbach Hashem Elokecha, next to the altar of Hashem your God, Asher ta'aseloch, that you are going to make for yourselves on the makom of the Beis HaMikdash. Then the second sentence seems to add another prohibition, which is a little bit difficult to understand, because the sentence says, V'lo sakim lecha matzeva, one should not set up an altar or a pillar, which would be a more accurate translation, a matzeva, a single slab of stone, asher sonei Hashem Elokecha, which Hashem your God actually hates. Now, Rashi makes a comment and he says that in the time of the forefathers, we know that our forefathers did set up a matzeva, did set up monuments, and they poured oil on top as a symbolic representation of sanctifying it. But now the sentence says that this matzeva, this altar, is asher sonei Hashem Elokecha, which God hates. Why is it that at this point in time, after the giving of the Torah, it says that the matzeva is hated next to the Mizbeach, while the Mizbeach is something you cannot even put an Asherah tree next to, and a matzeva is forbidden? And one other point, in both sentences, it says the word lecha. It could have just said lo sita asherah eitzel or v'lo sakim matzeva. One may not establish an altar which is made out of one slab. Why did it have to add the word lecha? Rav Shamshon Earl Hirsch comments, interestingly enough, that the matzeva, the pillar, which was so beloved at the time of the forefathers, which is today hated, is because at the beginning of the founding of the Jewish people and Avraham's recognition of Hashem and passing it on to Yitzchak and Yaakov, that recognition came as a response to the understanding that all of nature and all the world's heavenly bodies, all the organic and inorganic world, are supervised by the one and only God. And so Hashem at the time of the Avos was a God that came through nature. But once the Torah was given, we recognize that Hashem is not only the God of nature, but he is our personal God, one that we have a direct relationship with in terms of our loyalty and fealty to the observance of his commandments. This is symbolized by the altar, the Mizbeach, which is made of many stones, not one stone. The single slab of stone is the immutability of nature, while the adding of various stones demonstrates the building quality of adding the mitzvos one on top of the other to build up a life. In the Beis HaMikdash, a Mizbeach was built of many stones, symbolic of all that we can add to the world, while the matzeva, which is that single monolithic slab, is no longer acceptable just to think of God as the God of nature and not one on which we can build. But the Mizbeach is one in which we can build. But there's another point, and that is, the point is l'cha. Lo sakim l'cha matzeva. The l'cha means yourself. Don't make yourself into an object of single slab. Don't make yourself into someone who is monolithic and feels, I can't grow, I can't improve, I can't make the world better, I can't add on, because that's Sonei Hashem Elokecha. Hashem hates that for the very simple reason that that is symbolic of I'm me, myself in nature, and I can't possibly add on to it. As the Kedushas Levi says, don't make yourself into an idol. Don't take the self and make it the most important thing, but recognize that we can build on that which we have. The Jewish people are going through some very difficult times, but nevertheless, we're getting a tremendous amount of chizuk from this week's Sedja, learning that even when we're in the most dire of circumstances, we can build and make the world a better place. And that's why the Torah tells us, Lo sokim l'cha matzeva, lo sita l'cha ashera kol eitz. Don't make yourself into a god. Don't make yourself into the most important thing, but look ahead to the future by building and making the world a better place to live. From Eretz Yisrael, Shabbat Shalom U'Mevorach.